to One Queen, Two Kings, brought to you by RMK Productions and Network and 10 United Podcast Network, where we uplift voices with a platform to share stories, experiences, and perspectives using the framework of teaching, learning, and modeling. I am your queen, your host, Marjorie Phoenix, and along with the two kings and other hosts, Kevin McLemore and Ray Porch. Today, we are going to discuss business partnerships between men and women, ours particularly, and how the king can protect and support the queen in business and in life. So, where shall we begin, fellas? Let's start with the real, okay? Let's start with the dynamics of this business partnership that we have here, okay? We've got three different people, three different personalities, everybody coming with, their own skill set, talents, abilities, and knowledge, and we're building something. I mean, we're actually literally building something. And I got to tell you, I didn't foresee this being what it is now. And I don't know if I even can see even further of what this could eventually turn into. But starting out, we came together thinking, let's put our brains together. Let's do this podcast, and then from this podcast, it turns into this media network, right? And we're bringing other people along with us. And so an unlikely partnership, I would say, but I would tell you the big thinker and the big vision person who could probably tell you where this thing is going to be Kevin, right? and the person who is going to sort of rope us in and let us see both sides of the fence and what either side can look like is going to be Ray. And I'm going to be the one that's looking at all the details and all the numbers and just at the little tiny micro things. And so it's just interesting. So share with the audience, guys, what this has been like for you guys so far.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Listen, we came together on an event and a program that you had already had going, Phoenix Rising, and I didn't see any of this. Like, I was nervous about that. I was saying, man, everybody here got a book. I wrote no book. It was crazy. The whole thing was crazy. So we have a friend in common, and I didn't see any of this happening. I just was excited about a chance to come on and talk a little bit about what life was like. And Marjorie, you were so gracious and welcoming and just kind of, you thought what I had to say was important. And so I think for me, things with you were founded there, in terms of a relationship, like just the way you communicated with me, and we got to know each other and talk through, like, I just felt better. And then of course Kevin calls and he's like, I'm feeling away. He's like, listen, you're gonna write a book. And we start talking, and it just was really organic experience. And so I, even to this day, I have nothing but the most reverence and respect for you, because you are definitely, queen, and you've been here doing this, and you want to reach people. And you and I had a really important conversation. We talked about the platform and storytelling. And I wrote you this email. I remember I sent you this message, and I still remember it to this day. And I basically said that, thank you for letting me be on, but like, more importantly, I thanked you for doing what you were doing, because you were creating a space for people to be able to express themselves. And it wasn't large media, but it was a space where people could be welcome and be themselves. And you appreciated that. And that was just as important to you as, I don't know, 4, 5, 7 Fox News, whatever, you treated us, that way, that level of importance. And so I think, where we are today was like, if somebody told me this, I'd have been like, nah, we got our own podcast up and going, and we have, Kevin's got Talking with Kevin and Son. We've interviewing people, and 100 Girls with Curls. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how this is all, it just kind of is going. And some days we're like, okay, we're building the plane while flying. And then other days we're like, wow, we really got a roster of people involved, and fielding phone calls and text messages, and meeting with people, and people trying to like get on. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And
You using that analogy with the plane. I just envisioned like the three of us in the cockpit, right?
yeah,
You have the three pilots, and there's me
I
and
know.
Kevin, right? And I'm hitting Kevin's hands like, don't touch that. And then Kevin's like, no, this will make us go faster.
This has been, listen, I can't even put words to it, but it's been great. We've met incredible people. Right now I'm like thinking about the interviews we've had, and just been incredible. Charbonnet Patton. We've
Yes.
had,
Yes.
the wonderful mom and daughter author. Like, it's just been crazy, this whole deal. But I don't know. I didn't see this coming. I'm excited that where we're at, and every day is a new adventure. And like, we're doing this. It's happening. Kev.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to contradict what both of you guys said. You guys knew this was going to happen. Neither one of you would acknowledge it at the point until you saw it. Sometimes the door's got to hit you in the head enough, because you guys, when I met you, you were already doing great things. And I've known ever since I was a little kid, the moment that where we're at right now, I knew it was going to happen. When COVID came, I wrote down on a piece of paper, you can't do this one thing alone. And when I met Marjorie, we connected. We had several conversations. She was an author. I was in awe of her. And then when Marjorie says, oh, you got to meet this dude. You got to meet Raymond. You guys are so much alike and whatever. And literally, after the phone conversation, it was like I had a brother. I had a brother. And then, matter of fact, it's the first time I ever felt like a big brother. It's because we were waiting in queue. Marjorie was doing her thing on her show when she was first introducing her book, and Raymond was trying to talk his way off the stage. I can't do this and whatever. And I said, something, I'm going to cut short my interview. And I went into my dream state to be a DJ. And I literally pushed Raymond out on the stage. And it was probably like the way the Jacksons felt when they gave Michael the mic. They go, shit, we'll never sing again. Mike just took over the show. Raymond showed off.
You are right.
He showed off. I sat there and going, okay, all right. And the more that we collaborated, and the more we talked about life events, the more we talked about history, and the more we talked about what our place was in this world right now, the closer we became. And I know with every relationship, and even a relationship is just like a partnership. There are going to be some rough areas, because I'm getting to know Marjorie. Marjorie's getting to know me. I'm getting to know Raymond, and the trilogy goes on and on. But the thing is, when you enter a business partnership, you got to learn to be flexible, because some days the sun rises and shines on you, and some days the sun sets on another person, and some days the water decides not to stay in the ocean, and all of a sudden you got a hurricane. But in each event, someone's got to be that source that kind of brings it all together. And we brought it together. And when I realized that the world was changing, the market was changing, that we each had skills we brought to the table. And they always say, surround yourself with people that are like-minded. And I've always said, I wanted to be around people that I can sit and have Thanksgiving dinner with. Marjorie Phoenix and Ray Porch were those two people at Thanksgiving. This is my family. I come from a large family. This is my family. You can't pick and choose your brothers and sisters, but you can pick your brothers and sisters. And looking at the opportunities we had, that corporate America was changing, the world was changing, an opportunity for us to have a voice and take a position. And we all have one thing in common. We weren't looking to get rich. We were looking to serve, and at different levels. And we already had, story time and wine, which we enjoyed. I remember the first time we did that. I don't drink, but I carried a couple of bottles. And then the second time I actually went out and bought sparkling champagne because I didn't want to feel alone. And I probably got a little buzz. And then every single time we were in the room, and you always know when you're in the room of greatness, is when something happens and you sit back and you become a student. And that's when I was introduced to the cloud.
Mhm.
And then I realized my position in growing up is that we have to do something in order for our men, especially men of color, and I would say all men, that we have to take a position, because I'm going to pat myself on the back and I'm going to pat Ray even harder. We're two dynamic brothers. We're two
Hey,
dynamic
yeah.
brothers. And we have a young lady that is at the forefront of our company that we have to protect, because we know, people are going to come after us, each and every last one of us. But I'm going to tell you, Ray's a bad boy. Okay. And I got his back. And plus, I still got some speed. So just in case.
You're the fast runner, but Ray's the fast thinker. Okay.
Oh
And
God.
I gave him the nickname the Cloud because I was always in awe of historical conversation that Raymond had. And I was at a phase in my life when I was still learning. I was being retaught how to read, write, communicate, after my concussion. And so every time Ray turned around, it was another book. And I was like, I can't keep up with this book. So I went to audiobook, and then when I found out I had read 53 books, half of them were audio, half of them were read books. And I'm going, damn, I'm still not as smart as Ray. And then, you get someone that keeps all the T's crossed and the I's dotted, and you go from there. And then when I looked at the marketplace and said there's an opening at that time, what did I say? 850,000 podcasters in the world that existed. And then when I looked how many people look like any of us, female, Black, very few. And I said, the door is wide open when there's 8 billion people on the planet, and all we had to do is be successful. And then Marjorie came up with the acronym of RMK Productions. I had no idea what it meant. She kept saying remix or remake. And I thought it was funny. And then it took me a couple of days. It goes, oh, that's our initials.
Our initials.
I just thought she came up with something cool. And then the doors.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the doors just opened. I knew we were going to be successful. But, when we finally opened, we had a lot of obstacles, and this goes on with any business. You have that one dude that's just not the right fix. And we had a rainmaker in the system, and we decided that we weren't going to weather the storm. So we relocated him. We didn't relocate us. God, I won't say God, but COVID tested us to see how we're going to stick together. And I know me with business, I'm just going to we're going to get this done. But when your partners love you and they put their needs and their business on hold, I learned. And they waited until my health was better. They worried about me. I knew people cared. And I just said, when I get back on my feet, we got to do this thing. And then when the doors finally opened, it was like Christmas at the first time, and you got your brand new bike or your first pair of Converses, or, you got that, I don't mean to sound sexy, but I like my sisters when they got the easy bake oven and make cookies, so I don't mean to sound sexy. So something Marjorie had that was wowing them, but it was almost surreal that we had this written down on paper. We had planned, we're still building the plane while flying. Every single day we come up and collectively, we come up with ideas. We get connected with people that are connecting us to our dreams. And as Raymond says, that we will not waver no matter what it is. And we stay true to our mission. And that's the success of any partnership. Understanding what your mission is, understanding what the dream is, understanding the application on how to put that dream into motion, and then believing that it will come true.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, he had more foundational belief than we did.
Yeah.
And now y'all know why.
well,
I just, man, look, you know, and I said this to you all, I say it to you all the time. You all brought experience to the work that we're doing in ways that I don't. I was fortunate that I just had to bring myself, and more importantly, you know, I got a brother and a sister who welcomed me to bring my whole self. You know, I'm an educator, and so I talk about bringing your whole self all the time in the work that I do. You know, educating young people, and I'm able to do that every day. So it actually helps me, you know, as an educator when I'm trying to facilitate that learning for educators and teachers and school leaders, how important it is to bring your whole self and to do it in an authentic way. You know, our queen and the other king here, we do that. And I appreciated what Kevin was saying about like protecting you, you know, at the end of the day, like, you know, I am gonna do that, you know, and you know, we've been together, feels like a long time, you know, and my wife and you know, my daughters are very familiar with Kevin and Marjorie, and even my grandson. And it's funny because, you know, my wife is now involved as well, and she is going to be doing a venture, you know, with us, and she cooks, and she's an excellent cook. And she's been a huge supporter in my life. You know, I'm in school, I'm in, you know, district leadership in Burlington School District, and essentially an assistant superintendent of the school district. And it's been a huge change in my professional career. And she's been the whole trip supportive. I'm trying to close in on a doctorate, and so I've been, you know, making huge commitments to big things and trying to move forward with it. And she's been always there saying, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And some days, like, you know, stop complaining and go do it. It's what I need. And she never complains, and always encourages me and pushes me. So, you know, my feeling of reciprocation in this work from Audrey is the same thing, in that, like, it's not an easy world out here for women, much less our Black women, who are, you know, some of the most unprotected people walking on God's earth. And so I know Kevin and I both have an obligation to make sure that we, you know, we have you, and that you know that every day, you know, that we got you. And it's the same thing at home with my girls, you know, my daughter and my wife, and then they know that I got them. I don't mean they don't make us a little crazy, you know,
Right,
sometimes.
right,
My brother
right.
and sister here have their moments.
Listen.
but I got her, and I got him, and so, you
Yeah.
know, maybe that's the other part I was supposed to bring. So anyway.
No, and that's what I really appreciate, because, you know, for me, I grew up in a house where it's always just been women, right? I got my family, I got cousins, everybody, women, girls, all the time. And so to be in a partnership and a relationship like this with two men, this is, you know, this is the first time I've been in a partnership relationship with men like this, that it's just been about business. I've always been an entrepreneur, but I've been solo. And whenever there was, you know, the talk of doing business together, there always seemed to be some other underlying intention behind it, right? But with you guys, you know, I know I'm safe with y'all, right? That's number one. And then number two was, sometimes as women, especially in business, right? You don't want to be too masculine. You don't want to be too feminine. You want to find that balance, right? But with y'all, I just feel like I can just be me, right? And there have been days when I've questioned, you know, have I come on too strong? Have I come across too aggressive? But then when I sort of self-reflect, because I do that a lot, I'm like, okay, you know, you being you. Okay, that's you. And so, you know, and so getting used to that, right, as we learn who we really are, each other, and getting used to our personalities and how we are in business and how we think. All of that is just, that's a part of the process. So I'll say for me, what I've learned from this partnership is that the diversity that we all bring, you know, the big thinking, the logical thinking, the analytical thinking, all of that, it's all a part of when you think about diversity and inclusion, right? When you think about having diversity in a workplace, it's like that. We have these diverse ways of thinking and how
Yes.
we're bringing it. And that is so valuable. And
Yes.
I feel like I wouldn't want it any other way, because
Yes.
that's the dynamic that's going to make this thing work. And so, and it would be different if it was 3 men, and it would be different if it was 3 women. But the fact
Or
that,
if you weren't bringing your authentic self,
yes,
right, it
that's
would be
right.
different then. So it's
That's
not the thing that we can see, right? The
Yeah.
fact that you just named it, but if you didn't do that, it wouldn't be the same. So that
That's right.
reflection is important for you personally, but like, it's also important for us, right?
Yeah.
That you make the choice to do that, you know, but I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no,
Sorry.
no, 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 that's fine. So it was even like, you know, a couple of times Kevin referred to me as boss lady, right? And the first couple of times he did it, like, I was like, what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
And that, but
Well,
then
he was trying to say you the boss lady. What the problem is?
well, see, that was it, because I was in another conversation with a guy and he was like, yeah, this is the boss lady. And I was like, am I coming across bossy? And then I really had to sit back and self-reflect. I was like, no, because you're the boss.
Yeah. But
That's just
but
how you carry yourself.
see, when I gave you the title boss lady, it was not a reflection of how I thought you were. I was putting you in that position of way that you are in this company.
Right.
You know,
I get that.
the key thing with when you decide to go into partnership, the first thing you have to do is look in the mirror and find out who you are as the partner.
Yeah,
If you've got some issues and some shortcomings, whatever, you need to identify that. And listen,
exactly.
my one thing was, and I said this early on, is being patient. You know, and I have signs in my office that says be patient, and it says patience, be patient, and then it says be effing patient. And that's one of the things. The other thing that going into this business is to become a good listener, because you don't always be the first to speak. Listen to see what the conversation is and see where the conversation lands on you. And then understanding the history of your partners. So that way you always understand where the conversation is coming from and where the reaction is coming from. And then sometimes before you speak, you probably need to wait 24 hours or lean on your other partners to say, look, I'm feeling this kind of way. How should I do this? I mean, I come from a sports background. I come from a place in business that is highly competitive, and I've always been number one. When I entered this relationship, I actually got tired of being number one, because number one wasn't bringing me the satisfaction that I wanted. The money wasn't important, but I come to terms with service, giving back. When we talked about, you know, being in a position to feed our kids that won't have meals, to be able to increase literacy and have kids enjoy reading books and provide them with books they fall in love with, instead of being forced to have an education that has been forced upon them based on non-truth, to provide an opportunity to one day place a mother, you know, that's in a home by herself, to put a roof over her head. And we talked about all the social things. I just basically said, this is what where I should be. And then, you know, this opportunity with this podcast network, and the opportunity with the podcast TV, and the opportunities of the people that we present. So I'm always going to say, in business, if you create a partnership, you got to be the best partner before you allow someone else in there, and then understand your partner. Lucky for us, Marjorie wrote a book, so she has no secrets. And believe it or not, Marjorie, I have to tell you, when I read your book, and Marjorie, I called you, and the first thing I said, I didn't know. And Marjorie said, I told you this, whatever. I said, but your book tells everything. You gave me the abbreviation of the book.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I told you, I said, Marjorie, no matter what, you're safe with me.
Yeah, you did. You said
Okay?
that. You said
You're
that. I
safe with me.
appreciate that too.
You know, and I will tell you, we don't have any secrets. I called Raymond sometimes and I'm going, damn, I don't understand what I did wrong today. And Raymond has always been that voice. And, you know, he has said, you know, sit back, listen and learn and understand, and vice versa. I mean, we've have our battles, but the key thing is in business, you got to sit back and just say, you know, what's best for the business,
Business.
you know,
Yes. Yes.
and when we were putting our business plan together and we were putting titles, none of us cared, you know, who was doing who was carrying the ball and whatever. You know, I read Mark Randolph's book about Netflix, and his partners basically, after he got everything started, booted him out. I'm going, it ain't never happening here. We're never going to be the Jacksons. I always refer to that. You know,
do.
I don't care who it is. We're not doing Michael. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy. And it's funny because you're right, Kevin. We talked about those things, the roles, like we all kind of were like checked out on that, like, but we knew for business purposes, we have to have some kind of structure. And in terms of like our rapport, you know, I'm a big fan of it. And you don't hear me say in business a lot, and you won't, because I've trouble with that concept. I think, you know, I go into my whole spiel, right? Well, what am I going to talk about? The two distractors in American society are capitalism and
Capitalism.
democracy,
Yes.
right?
yeah,
And so the whole capitalism climb alone piece is not something that I'm a fan of, and you know, I remind us of that consistently, because this works because we're communal in our interactions with each other. It doesn't mean that we can't be solid with the business aspects of it. And we did have a dynamic in our midst, doing some of the back office work for us, and that individual's way that he lives in the world was the problem. It wasn't his skill, it wasn't his knowledge or his attributes at all. It was he didn't fit, you know, the communal aspect of this relationship. And so I would say that is as important. I like to think about these things in balance. So if we think about business, you have to have skill and planning and all those technical pieces. But if you're going to be in a partnership, you have to be able to collaborate. And, that's about the people,
Yes.
and less about, their skill, but more about who they are and how you welcome them and how they welcome you, and how we give each other patience and grace and seek understanding. And all those things are important, because for us to be our best selves, we have to explore those things daily in our interactions. Oftentimes people will say, big systems, well, that's just a system. Like the system came to be on its own. Systems get designed by people,
Exactly.
one interaction at a time,
That's
over
right.
time. And so what we're doing day in and day out, my hope is that we continue to model that, you can build your own networks and systems and still be successful with what's perceived as Americanized business, and do it with respect and humility, and most importantly with humanity. And so I respect the heck out of both of you, because you're both terrific human beings. Yep, authors, talented, motivational speaker, and Kevin, a really, a person who brings a lot of community, and Marjorie, and your experiences, and you own your own business and all those things. Yep, we could check the boxes on all those things, but I'm not moved by those things, quite frankly. I respect them, not moved by them. I'm moved by the people, the two
Right.
people. You guys are exceptional people, and that I'm humbled to be in and around the two of you as human beings day in and day out. So that's the part that anchors me to the two of you. It's not the other stuff.
Yeah,
So
that's what makes it work. And and when I think a lot too about when we talk about leadership, because we're in a leadership role, right? The people that we're bringing into this with us, right? We're leading them, right, towards something. And at the same time, we're also learning how to follow, right? And I think that's an important part of leadership and in partnership, that you are willing to still be a servant, right? You're still willing to follow. You're still willing to learn. That helps to feed your leadership skills, and helps to develop you. And I think if you look at that partnership in that way, like I'm here to grow, I'm here to learn, I'm here to, to do more, then you're going to get a lot more out of it than bringing in your own ego and selfish intentions, right? And those are the things that can cause those types of partnerships to, decay. But before we wrap up, I do want to talk a little bit about the other types of partnerships as well. When we talk about support, when the king supports the queen, right? We have husband and wives who go into business together. We have husband and wives that are both doing great impact work, but they're doing it separately. I'm not coupled, so I can't speak to that, but maybe you guys can really talk about that, how you support your partner as they're trying to build the thing in their life. And I'll just go to Tracy right now and just bringing that up in that Tracy's got a lot of energy. She's got a lot to bring, right? And so, and she's been supporting you through your educational journey and, your career. Now it's like, it might be her turn. So how do you do that?
I found, I did get a chance to rap with her about you all's conversation, and she was fired up. And it's funny because, Marjorie, you have another friend who's been in her ear too. Dizena has been in her ear talking with her. And so I am, like, I might have shared before we even got to this level of her, engagement with you and with Di, telling you all about how my wife is this incredible cook, right? And my friends will come over and she'll cook for them and family, and just it's off the rails. Like, she could just think up stuff. I could say, like this is what I got a taste for, and it could be something non-traditional. It's just the things that I like, and she'll combo them together, and it's like, wow, this is crazy. Things that I've never eaten before that she makes, and I'm just now like, I'm in love with these meals. And so she's got go-tos, like she fries the best chicken on the planet, mac and cheese, like she just, just talented, and doesn't like measure with a measuring cup per se. She learned to cook in the kitchen watching her mom, and is the best cook by far, hands down, in her family, which is stocked with women, and everybody knows it. Nobody challenges that. Mm-hmm. But to your point, she has been a rock for me, and what I've tried to do is not push, but support and encourage, because taking a step like this into this space, and these are her words and not mine, can be a little unsettling, because she feels like she has an obligation to our family in a way, and she's working. And so, if you've never really thought about, taking a step like this and actually, doing it, she knows she's talented. She knows she can cook, right? I always just try to give the subtle support and encouragement. Like, listen, I'll eat and be like, you can sell this. And she's like, will you stop saying that? I've been saying that forever, right? And then my friends say it too, like, man, why your wife don't sell this food? Like, man, I feel I feel a way that I'm eating this for free, and so she's talented, and my job at times is just to coach her up and to have her back, like, and I think for me, I've been fortunate because, I built this relationship, and we've been on this journey together, us. And so now she has exposure to you, someone who started a business, someone who, is a Black woman, and your motivation that you gave her and encouragement is also important. My thing is, I got you regardless. She could walk from the job tomorrow. I got you. It's she's been there for me countless times. That ain't never something I want her to be concerned about or worried about. But I also want her to choose it, because when you make a decision like this, you said it earlier, it is leading, and leading is choosing, right? And I want her to choose it. And I don't want it to be because she feels an obligation to do it because she thinks I want her to do it. I want her to choose it because she wants to do it. And then I got her, whatever it is, I got her back, and so I think that's where we are now. She's, at a place now where she's choosing this, and I'm excited for her. I'm excited for her for a bunch of reasons. she really loves to see people eat her food and enjoy it. And I told her she's gonna have a whole bunch of smiling faces because she's a superstar. You
I
know,
told her I'm coming up to eat.
I'm just saying, like you know, and it sounds crazy. It's like, oh, you're supposed to say that because that's your wife. Nah. I'm telling you, when Tracy's mom was still with us and we lost her, there was the person that trumped Tracy's cooking, and that's her mother. And you know, I got in trouble a time or two, you know, talking about my mama-in-law's cooking over my wife's. Oh well, the truth is the truth every day of the week and twice on Sunday. She listen, she knew there were things that Tracy cooked better than her mom. Not a whole bunch of things, maybe these many.
Good save, Ray. Good save.
But there were things that well, it's true. There were things, right? But there weren't a bunch of things. And I would say this, she knew that, and she learned at the master's feet. So you listen, if I'm telling you the master's better, you can't be mad at that. You learn from the master.
That's true.
You know what
Listen,
I'm
she's blessed to have a husband like you that you know can see that in her and supports that. Now, Kevin, for you, I know because I had started reading your latest book, the manuscript, and I know that you have always been a dreamer, a visionary, right? And you particularly, and you've said this, you need someone in your life who's going to support those dreams.
Right.
And I get that. So how has that been for you?
Well, you know, I'm going to say this. Anyone that goes into business with a partnership and says that it's just business, it's not personal, is an idiot. All right, because business is personal. When you are going through a rough time and you've got partners, I mean, I've gone through some rough time. I've shared with you guys that have gone through some rough time, and you guys have been there. Yeah, it's a challenge when you have a vision or you're a dreamer or you're a professional risk taker. I don't say I'm a motivational speaker. I say I am a professional risk taker with a bullseye on my purpose. All right. And you've got to have someone that shares your vision, because if they're not adding to you, they are taking away. And you've got to realize that. And you got to decide going into business of what the risk is and what the value that someone brings into your life. And yeah, I'm one of those people, and it's just like sports. I've always been hanging out there on the edge of success alone. And I've always wanted that person to be there for me and whatever. And I found that salvation within you guys. You know, when you work a full-time job, and I would say this is what I do right now for my day job is my side hustle. What I'm doing with you guys is my dream job. All right. So that's what I'm focused on. When you come home and you're tired from the other job, but you've got a podcast, you've got to record and whatever, and you get pushed back in your own personal life about doing that, it's like if someone's not adding to the dream, they're stealing from the dream, but they still want to reap the benefits of the dream. And, you know, I remember this one story about a guy that was this multi-talented musician, and he was playing at every speakeasy in New York City. And he had been with this girl, and she stayed with him. And then she finally decided one day that she found some guy that was a Wall Street broker that had a nice penthouse on Park Avenue, had a much better life than what she was living at that point. And she came home and said, you know, I can't do this anymore. You know, when is this ever going to come true and whatever? And she left him. And for some reason, Billy Joel's concerts sell out all the time. And so, and that's pretty much the way I look at it, is that when I tell people, watch my smoke, you know I'm burning the candle at both ends and trying to light it. But I know one day I'm going to sit by the fire and candlelight, have a glass of wine with the people that are most important in my life. And that exclamation point or that empty feeling is going to be fulfilled.
Listen, it's nothing like having people in your life who understand what drives you. and why you're doing the things that you're doing, right?
Yep.
And that's the thing too that we understand when it comes with Ray. We know like your purpose is about education and the work that you're doing, right? This that you're doing with us, yes, you love this. This is, it's feeding part of that as well. But we understand first and foremost it is those children and education as a whole. And so we respect that and we understand that. And that helps to bring into what we're doing here as well. And I just want to close with this. So for me, I'll never forget when I was married. I was married to someone who didn't support my dreams. And I remember, sitting across the dining room table from him, telling him, I want to be able to work with single moms because I was a single mother before I got married and I wanted to do these things. And he looked at me and he asked me, who the hell do you think you are? What makes you think that these women will listen to you? You have no college education, you have no formal training. And I remember at that time, it's not so much the question, but it was that I didn't know who the hell I was. I didn't. And I knew that I was married to someone who could never see in me what I knew I had inside myself. This is why they had to talk down to me all the time. They could see the type of person that I was. They could see what I was going to bring to the world, but they couldn't take it. It was too much for them. And I had always decided that I would never be with a partner again or be married to someone who couldn't see the value that I was as a woman and what I bring to the table and be able to support me in moving forward in my dreams. I'd rather be alone for the rest of my life than to not have that kind of partnership. So for me, this really helps support me in what I'm trying to do for myself as well as a woman. And so for those of you that are listening, you want that in your life. You want those types of partnerships, be it business, be it personal, someone that's going to stand by you, understand you, and support you. And so with that, I want to thank you guys for joining us for another episode. Listen, if you enjoyed this conversation today, we invite you to share this with your friends and your followers. If you don't want to miss another episode of One Queen, Two Kings or any of our other shows like Talking with Kevin and Son and Storytime and Wine, you want to go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you'll get that notification every time a new episode drops. Follow us, Facebook, on Instagram, or you can just go to our website at rmkproductions.net. So until next time, be the change you want to see in the world.